What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So Activision Blizzard, they've been in the news a lot recently for things like Diablo Immortal, having fans be extremely frustrated with it, but another story broke the other day that sent the internet into an absolute frenzy after Tony Hawk himself explained how Activision essentially messed up the idea of another Tony Hawk game, and you're gonna have to hear this one to believe it. We're gonna go over that here today. Also, we are gonna be talking about Xenoblade Chronicles 3. We had that Nintendo Direct yesterday, showcasing what looks like Monolith Soft's biggest game yet. And we're also gonna talk about the video card market, as it looks like it's finally getting back under control. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're gonna start today with Echo the Dolphin. I'm just kidding. We had the announcement of Hyenas, which is indeed the game that IGN was teasing with Sega and Creative Assembly. Here's the trailer, and it didn't go over so well online. This is indeed a sci-fi FPS from Creative Assembly, but it's a new multiplayer game, and it looks like it's another squad-based hero shooter style game, and it's been in development for 4 years. So I'm sure 4 years ago, this seemed like a much better idea than it is now, where this, to me, just feels like a very saturated market. But from what they've explained, there's going to be 5 groups of 3, and you're trying to pull off the ultimate heist and then escape. All of this taking place on colonies in Mars. So it seems like one of the big gimmicks that changes things up is going to be zero gravity at times. They have an alpha sign up going on now, so you can jump in and try this one out at some point, I assume later on this year. But like I said, I'm kind of burned out on hero shooters. This game is going to really have to bring something new to the table to pull people away from stuff like even Apex Legends or Fortnite. So I guess we'll see what they have for us later on this year when the alpha goes live. Also, we did get an update from Aspyr around Knights of the Old Republic 2 with that bug that was just stopping progression through the game. They posted this up over on their support website saying crashing after Basilisk crash cutscene, KOTOR to Switch. They say it is a known issue, will be addressed in the next patch. Again, I'll keep you updated on when that goes live. For now, though, their suggested workaround is to warp past the point where the game crashes using the cheats menu. That's right, the developer is telling you to cheat in their game, essentially jumping past that point so you won't get frozen there. And they go over how to access the cheat menu, where exactly to warp to and all this. Certainly a temporary solution, but I'm just hoping they're able to get the patch out soon, because it is comical for the developer to say, okay, just cheat in this game and jump past that point for now. So I'm hoping that patch is coming in the next week or two. That way they can get back on track with, again, a legendary title. Oh, and we did get a release date for No More Heroes 3, which was previously announced to be heading to other platforms like PlayStation, Xbox, and all of this, which is exciting since we're going to be getting 4K 60 FPS on something like the PlayStation 5. We can see this over on Gematsu. No More Heroes 3 for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, and Xbox One launches October 6th in Japan. It includes Japanese audio for the first time, and this is currently just a release date in Japan, but I would expect this game to come out right around that time in other territories as well, including like the US. They do currently have it listed for about $50, and there will also be a slightly more expensive digital deluxe edition that will include a copy of the game and 70-page digital art book and 22-track digital soundtrack. And I think I am going to jump back into No More Heroes 3, maybe on like the PlayStation 5 or something. I already have it on the Switch, but I figure if it is going to run that much better, 4K, 60 FPS, and the game did struggle on the Switch, especially with that overworld part. I don't think it's going to be much better in terms of content or anything there on like the PlayStation 5, but at least things in battle, for example, will run better and look better, because the game does have a very interesting art style too. It just kind of got muddied up a bit with the Switch's lower resolution. But either way, looking forward to checking this one out later this year, and I'll keep an eye out for when they do make it official and the release date for other territories. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're just gonna start right away with Activision, okay? Because I really liked Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. It was such a good remake for the series, and it got people interested in the Tony Hawk games all over again. I mean, we got to go over the fact that Activision themselves said this was the fastest selling Tony Hawk Pro Skater game ever. I mean, think about some of the high points for the series with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 and even 3 when that released on like the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube and Xbox and all this. It was madness back then. But no, this was the fastest selling game. It seemed like they were off and running, and I was expecting all kinds of games to come out around the Tony Hawk franchise. Now maybe it's like 3 and 4 get packaged together. Maybe they try Underground. Maybe they finally double back and take a shot at a new Tony Hawk Pro Skater game to kind of make up for what they put out with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. However, we did see that Vicarious Visions got absorbed into Blizzard, that being in January 2021. And when I saw that happen, I thought, oh, that's not good, because who is going to make a new Tony Hawk Pro Skater game? They did a great job with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. Turns out it wasn't just me who was thinking this, as Activision themselves ran into this again, it's incredible stuff. Let's head over here, though. This is on Twitter from Okami Games, who clipped this from Andy THPS, who was actually talking with Tony Hawk during a stream. It's kind of like a Neversoft stream, but they say Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 remasters were in the works, but they were scrapped after Vicarious Visions was merged into Blizzard. There is the entire clip here. You can check it out for yourself. We also have VGC transcribing what Tony Hawk said, saying that was the plan even up until the release of 1 and 2. We were doing 3 and 4, and then Vicarious got kind of absorbed. And then they were looking for other developers, and then it was over. The truth of it is, Activision were trying to find somebody to do 3 and 4, but they just didn't really trust anyone the way they did Vicarious. So they took other pitches from other studios like, what would you do with the THPS title? And they didn't like anything they heard, and that was it. Now, I will say, Tony Hawk does mention, well, I mean, you never know what could happen after the dust settles here, because we know Microsoft is looking to acquire Activision Blizzard. That deal still needs to go through and get done. Most of us expect it to happen, but I guess you never know. We'll find out seemingly next year if all of that is done. I mean, I guess it's possible that Tony Hawk goes back to Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard, all this, and they say, okay, we know they got absorbed into Blizzard, but can now Blizzard make this next Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4? And that's my hope at this point, because this is just, I mean, it's ridiculous if you think about it, because they take Vicarious Visions, who did an awesome job on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, absorbed them into Blizzard, which the only reason I could think they had to do that is because Blizzard is struggling with things like Diablo 2 Remaster, which is apparently what Vicarious Visions went to work on to get that out the door, and probably other things like Overwatch and like Diablo 4 and all of this coming up. But like they had it. Like Tony Hawk Pro Skater was back with 1 and 2, and I was really excited at the idea of this game doing well. Now 3 and 4 comes out, that does well, then we maybe get Underground, and then it moves on from there, but it just seems like Activision's like, no, anyone can make this, let's just send Vicarious over there, we'll have them absorbed into Blizzard, getting rid of, I mean, a storied developer at that point. It goes back into, like, what, the late 90s and all, like, they were doing some big-time stuff back then, even on, like, the Game Boy Advance in the early 2000s, move them over into Blizzard, and then they go, oh, wow. Turns out, no one can really do what they were doing with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. So at this point, bring in Microsoft, have them buy up Activision Blizzard, and maybe they look at everything, the landscape, and trying to have more variety for Game Pass, and they go, you know, it would be pretty cool to have another Tony Hawk game in here. Maybe do like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4, and we just drop that into Game Pass. I mean, if that's what it's gonna take to get it done, fine, because I am just blown away by just how much incompetence took place here that really had Tony Hawk Pro Skater slip through their fingers at this point. So here's hoping it's not completely over, and maybe in a couple of years we can look back on this as a bit of a speed bump in the overall Tony Hawk Pro Skater series revival. But I guess we'll hear more about something with this after Microsoft does acquire Activision Blizzard sometime next year. Next up, let's talk about Final Fantasy XVI. As many interviews were published, Mr. Yoshida was making the rounds with a bunch of different publications, and we found out a bunch of new details around the game itself. Will you have party members? How are these different real-time battles going to work? And what about those summons? So let's start from the top here. I also linked down below to Gamatsu, who did a very good job just kind of rounding up a lot of the key information. Now we know the main character that the story will be following is Clive, and a lot of the attacks that he will be using is based off of just traditional Final Fantasy summons. Remember, in that trailer, they just cycled through all the different summons, which was pretty cool. These can be cycled in real time during battle to have these different combination attacks, which sounds like it absolutely ridiculous, but as you go through the game, you will unlock more and more of these summons, which will then also open up a bunch of different ability trees that you will have points to then dump into those throughout battle. What's interesting though is they describe these summon versus summon battles as not necessarily being the same every time. They point out things like a 3D shooter and one even being like a wrestling match. I mean, I guess summons are gonna be like suplexing each other back and forth. They do mention though that Clive will indeed have AI-controlled companions for most of his journey. There might be times where it's just him depending on what's going on in the story, but for the most part, you will have banter back and forth with different party members. So that's great because there were people concerned that it would just be Clive himself going through and maybe having internal monologues or something like that. Not the case. It's also mentioned they specifically went for a more mature tone. In fact, it seems like they were just targeting an M rating, looking for that darker overall atmosphere. The game will not be like a true open world, but they will have large area-based game design setups, so it will still feel like these are large areas, but it's going to be somewhat confined based on where you are in the game. And they did talk about how you're going to be playing through Clive's like 3 stages of his life, through teens, his 20s, and his 30s. And it does look like we will have another trailer to look forward to this fall that'll dive more into the storyline, the lore, and a few other things. So right now, from what I'm hearing with 16, it's sounding pretty good. I mean, that trailer itself, to me, put it over the top as one of my most anticipated games of 2023. And I mean, we kind of figured 2022 was going to be a big year, but as we've seen more and more stuff get delayed out of this year, I mean, 2023 is looking like it's going to be the big year in gaming, and Final Fantasy 16 looks like it's been one of the big pillars of that year. Next up, let's talk about Xenoblade Chronicles 3. There was an entire 25-minute or so presentation for it yesterday in the form of a direct, and they went over quite a bit, and to me, it looks like it is Monolith Soft's biggest game yet, and that's saying something because something like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a game that feels massive as you are playing. I mean, some of those areas are huge, some of the different enemies and all of this definitely has like that really big grand scale to it. Well, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 looks like they are going to the next level. Again, they had this full video here to show off everything, and they went pretty in depth. So I understand if you're trying to go in as blind as possible, you may have skipped this, and for the most part, I will dodge around some of the story details. You can, of course, check out the direct itself to meet some of the main characters and learn a bit more about the lore and sort of just the setup of the overall game itself. But I did want to talk a little bit about things like the battle system and the setup when it comes to the mechanics, because it does look like, from what I can tell, this is kind of a hybrid of Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one, or Definitive Edition, if you've played that on the Switch, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. In 2, we had the Blade driver system. However, in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, we'll have heroes that you recruit, and based on what I was seeing with the combat and these heroes, I think I'm gonna prefer this over the Blade driver system. The reason I say that is because the blades, in order to acquire them, it was this gotcha mechanic where you had to get items that you would then use to essentially spin a wheel and hope that you'll get one of the rare blades, and you could just get doubles, triples, quadruples, you just get them over and over again. In this case, you'll just find heroes throughout your journey, which means we could have optional heroes. They could bring in maybe some heroes from other Xenoblade games. There's a lot of possibilities here that doesn't break down to hopefully you get lucky and spin the wheel just right. They also went over an entire class system. We do have a pretty standard Xenoblade battle system, I would say. Of course, you can topple your enemies, you can shoot them up in the air, and it is one of those setups where you're going to spend quite a bit of time on any one enemy, and there's a lot of strategy based around how your party is set up and the different arts that you're choosing. And they did go over the big mechanic here, the big twist on this one, that being your fusion into what they're calling is an Ouroboros. And it's kind of like, I guess you could say like a Dragon Ball fusion, where you have 2 party members who will be fused together and form this really powerful figure. And What's kind of cool about this is it looks like they will also have their own skill tree, and that's the one thing that Xenoblade's usually not short of, are different skill trees or relationship trees, all of which appears to be here. And then on top of all of this, there will be an expansion pass that you can pick up that will be providing content all the way until the end of 2023 with 4 different waves of downloadable content. The first one will come on release day. It'll have a collection of helpful items, color variations for existing outfits. Then Wave 2 will release by December 31st, 2022. That'll have a challenge battle mode against difficult enemies, a new hero character and accompanying quests, and new character outfits. Then moving up to April 30th, 2023, you'll have a challenge battle mode against difficult enemies, a new hero character, accompanying quests, new character outfits, and then pushed all the way at the end of 2023, that just being kind of a placeholder date, it'll be somewhere in there, that will have a new original story scenario to go through. The expansion pack is available to pre-order now, coming in at $29.99, but I mean, there's probably not a point in pre-ordering that, whereas the physical copy of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, based on what I've seen happen with Torna and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it's probably worth getting a physical copy of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 for the collection, because typically those do become more and more rare over time, but I like what I'm seeing here with Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Looks like a game I'm easily going to get more than 100 hours out of, like I did with Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So I'm ready for July 29th. Absolutely, I'm picking this one up immediately. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about some good news around the video card market, something that's been absolutely out of control. But if you remember, a month or 2 ago, I told you guys, relax a bit. I think prices will start to come down, as it looked like the whole crypto scene was starting to crash a bit, which means it's not going to make sense to hold on to video cards to mine these different cryptocurrencies, and Ethereum was moving to proof of stake. A lot of stuff was happening that looked like it was going to essentially move prices down for video cards, and that has happened. In fact, AMD cards used are starting to fall below MSRP, which is awesome. That means that we will start to see just a much more normal looking video card market on something like eBay. In fact, if you search up NVIDIA cards, those are starting to fall pretty heavily as well. Whereas before, you would see RTX 3080s go for 2 or even 3 times the price. I'm looking up and down eBay now, and I'm starting to see Asus cards go for $800 in the box for an RTX 3080, which is, again, very close to what I thought was retail when it launched at like $700. I do want to pose one bit of warning here. You're going to start seeing more and more video cards just kind of get dumped onto the market, as you are seeing right now on eBay. And there's a chance that some of these have been used quite extensively for mining crypto, which means they've taken quite a beating. Now, does that mean that you won't then be able to buy and use it pretty well for gaming? Not necessarily, just kind of putting it out there. There might be some wear and tear on it. So if you see a card that you're interested in on eBay or even Craigslist or wherever, message them and ask, hey, was this used for crypto mining? Are you offloading this because you're not looking to do that anymore? And that means it's been on running full blast, thousands of hours. It might be worth checking in on that. But the thing that I'm really excited about is we keep hearing about these 4000 series cards coming from NVIDIA. If crypto is down as bad as it is now, where it's not worth buying cards to mine immediately, we might have a normal launch. It won't be like this paper launch that we've had many times in the past now with NVIDIA, where it sells out immediately and anyone who wants a card doesn't get one for months, or at this point, even years. So, I mean, hey, looking good right now for video cards. In fact, like I said, might be getting to the point where it's going to be time to buy soon. Still, I would hold out a little longer. You might see these NVIDIA cards start to come in below MSRP. We'll see. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're going to take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, do you think Nintendo still has a general direct to finish up June? Look at that, 50-50. Good job, everyone. On like over 26,000 views, 50% yes, 50% no. I do believe they're going to have that direct next week, or just a lot of people are wrong. I mean, seriously, after Alana Pierce put that out there, we had publications all over the place corroborate this. Nate keeps mentioning on Twitter that the Xenoblade Direct is not like the big general direct that people are alluding to. So I'm really trying to think of when they're going to announce this thing. I mean, if it's really is on the 29th, Are they going to announce it next Monday? Are they going to announce it tomorrow? Today? I mean, anytime I would think is possible now, considering the Xenoblade Direct is sort of out of the way and we're just kind of on the road to that release date. Nintendo is clear to have their big general direct that we would have expected at the beginning or earlier this month, have it now and set things up for the rest of 2022. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Ani saying, I work at Best Buy, and just to let everyone know, we are getting shipments for the Horizon bundle of the PS5, where you can just come in and buy one. Online inventory won't show it, but do call your local Best Buy and see if they have any if you're looking for one. So I just wanted to throw that out there just in case anyone who's watching this is looking for a PS5. Might be worth calling your Best Buy, just say, hey, do you guys have that Horizon bundle in? Because, I mean, Horizon Forbidden West, awesome game. So yeah, you get that with your PS5, you're off and running there. I would suggest if you get that, then maybe pick up the PlayStation Plus extra tier, and that'll just load up your PS5 with all kinds of stuff to play. But first, you gotta find one. So apparently, give your local Best Buy a call just to see. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Where's the frustrating situation around Activision and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4. Are you surprised, though, to hear that Activision messed that one up as bad as they did? And then also, what about Xenoblade Chronicles 3? Are you impressed with the direct that you saw? And then the video card market, are you looking to buy here soon? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.